Afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Manuel Peralta, and I'll be presenting my artificial organs research. The purpose of this research is to provide a little bit of information and to show that it's a safe alternative for patients to get an artificial organ as transplantation. The hypothesis of this analyze is to show that it is a good option for the patients so they can take. The first background information that I have that will be able to provide that it is a good option is the wearable artificial kidney and the wearable ultrafiltration device with vascular access, which was a research presented by Ana Gautino Castro, Maura Neri, Akash Nayak Karopadi, Ana Lorenzi, Nicola Marokima, and Claudio Ronco. Um, they showed that to find a way to find a well, the research purpose of the article was to show that they can find a safe alternative to have a wearable artificial kidney and a wearable ultrafiltration device, and it wouldn't be able to bother the patient's daily movements, such as going to the gym or going to work. The data collections that they took was that they tested it in different categories. The data that they collected from the patients, such as which were clinical trials performed with the wearable ultrafiltration and the wearable artificial kidney, and the technical difficulties and the technical components with the future improvements. They found out that it is possible, but only they have a vascular access that can keep mean blood flow. So it went well with the patients, but they only needed that. Artificial lung compliances with the right ventricular load. They didn't do this with patients, but instead they did it with sheeps. They got a couple of male sheeps and they tested it different types of data that they can collect, such as when the artificial conduits were clamped and when the lung conduits were open and the distal pulmonary artery was clamped on sheeps. They did that to see if there was any changes with each sheep and how their body reacted to it. But the results were that the sheep handled the artificial lung nice, and there was no problem with it. It went well, and it was all perfect. They were most likely going to try it out with humans, but let's see. I forgot to mention also that this background information was named after the researchers, which were Jonathan W. Haft, Alan Lajar, Osama Bull, Joseph L. Bartlett, Robert H., and Hirsch and Ronald B. The research was called Effect on the Artificial Lung Compliances on the Right Ventricular Load. The third background information is named Successful Heart Transplantation in Patients with Total Artificial Heart Infections, which were research created by Sarah Timer, Timothy Sullivan, Menenkashi Rana, Gopi Patel, Julie Rolda, Kimberly Ashley, Sean Pinney, Analechi Anayanabu, Shirishi Hikupika. This research was much different from the other two because this one doesn't show that it was a perfect one. The research was created to show that the artificial kidney, the artificial heart, was very different from the other two. That this one caused an infection on patients, which were total artificial heart infections, which were different types of infection that each patient had. They collected data which were with the characteristics on patients with the total artificial heart infections. As I said, there's more types of infections that each patient had. The results were that the surgical drainage and heart transplantation with radiomediastinal debridement was a successful way to curing the infection on the patients caused that got the heart transplantation infections. Here are some research questions that I'm going to be answering in the next semester, such as what are the major impact of drastic change with most of the artificial organs? Will it affect on daily lives, or is it going to affect how we have to be so the artificial organ can function without any problem? And and was the data that collected thoroughly and checked to see if it's gonna help the patients and show if it's a good alternative on patients. My data collection for this method will be that I'm going to be getting data from the research articles and converting them into a figure format. And my plan next year is getting the figures and the tables and the data from the researchers, and I'll be changing their data in a way that we can show patients that it's a good alternative and they can understand the data. Here's the references from my artificial organs research. And here's my acknowledgement for the Laredo College, Dr. Antonio G. Carranzas, and Yalimar Villarreal. Also, I forgot to mention that the artificial heart infection was caused by a Staphylococcus species. That was one of the main infections that they found in several artificial heart infections on most of the patients. Another thing was that in my research, I was not able to find successful successful things on the heart infection, and also I was not able to find materials which were from mainly all of the organs. I didn't find if it was successful or not, if it changed on different materials. But main thing, I was not able to find them. But in the next semester, I'll try to figure out if it was, and I'll add it more in my research. Also, the artificial kidney data, the VA was average blood flow, and there were many tests that to show that artificial kidney work perfectly. And currently, they're developing more on it. They want to make it a more portable way to clean the patient's kidneys and help the body to the perfect. And that's my research. Thank you very much.